The weekend of November 16th, 2018, I was given the chance to go home. It's not often I get to go home due to football games, so every visit consists of catching up with friends and family. This picture was taken at 3:33 a.m. We made it home at about 2 in the morning, and my mother slept the whole car ride. Since I don't need much sleep for some odd reason, this left us ample time to sit up and talk. My mother is like my twin, a spitting image of her, not only physically, but also mentally. It's very easy for us to communicate, most of the time. This particular morning, we stayed up until about 4:30 a.m. just conversing about my college experience and also her new experiences. I'm the youngest of three children, and with me off at college, her nest is empty for the first time in 24 years. Eventually, we both dozed off. The next morning, I woke up to a delightful breakfast and a happy mother. The day didn't entail much. My mother left to go grocery shopping for the taco soup she planned to cook that night. I was left at home alone to catch up on schoolwork while I waited my friends to get done with their day activities and come over. Later on that night, everyone was able to make it my mother, stepdad, and three other close friends. In the middle of everyone preparing their food, I stopped and explained to them that I needed to take a picture not only for my English essay, but also to document good memory moments. So for a second, everyone froze and I snapped a quick yet lovely photo. After the picture, we all continued getting our food and finding somewhere comfortable to eat. My mother and stepdad found their way to her room, while Dakota, Jack, Miguel, and I sat at the kitchen table. There wasn't much talk at first due to the food consumption, but after we ate, we sat and talked a bit. Jack goes to Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University, and Dakota attends Alabama State University with me. So we sat and talked about what we go through. Then, Jack decided to take us all to see his dorm room. Not far from where we live, it was a quick drive to A&M's campus. On the route to the university, we passed our old high school. "Oh, y'all remember those hallways?" I softly reminisced. "Let's calm down, Devion. It was only last year," Miguel reassured me. Soon after we arrived at the campus, I noticed the university grounds were beautiful. It sat on a higher landscape known as the Hill, overlooking the city lights. We admired the view for about 15 minutes, then proceeded to his room. Jack's side of the room was set up to give a nice home feeling. His roommate's side, on the other hand, resembled the typical college boy who doesn't spend much time cleaning up or in the room in general. Jack gave a short tour of the room: closet here, desk here, and bed there. With it being a small room, there wasn't much to see, but it was nice to see where my best friend had been residing for the past 5 months. The room was somewhat empty, so we pulled out the faithful game of Uno and played a couple rounds. After Uno and talking got boring, we returned to my home, where Jack, Miguel, and I spent the night. Dakota returned home with his family, who had also been missing him. College has taken a toll on my sleeping schedule, so woke up at about 11:30 a.m. That gave both Jack and Miguel enough time to wake and go back to sleep. I hopped in the shower, then said my goodbyes, as I was going to see my dad's side of the family. Unfortunately, we had to take a trip to the hospital because my granddad had been recovering from a stroke. So from my house, I went to my dad's house, where my dad, Nana, and little sister were waiting on me. We all sat down and had a nice breakfast before the trip. We made our way there, and my granddad was elated to see me. Recently having brain problems, I was glad that he was able to recognize me. "Hey Davion, come here. I have something for you," my granddad said. He pulled out his Nighthawk WR 200 Citizen watch, worth more than $400, yet the sentimental value made it priceless. Thought it was time to pass down the family watch, as he handed it to me. "Since the day I got it, I knew I wanted you to have it. Now you're the caretaker. Take care of it, and pass it on to who you feel deserves it." After the meaningful trip to see my granddad and exchanging goodbyes, I was dropped off at my other grandma's house. As I walked in the door, my other grandfather made his way to the kitchen. At this moment, I knew he was preparing me a tasty plate of food, assuming I had not ate. While waiting on the food, I sat and talked with my grandma, answering all her questions, assuring her I was okay and wasn't in need of anything. A couple minutes passed by, and I heard my grandfather calling me. I walked in the kitchen to a plate of macaroni, chicken, a biscuit, a slice of pie, and a nice cup of sweet tea. I sat down and began to devour the food. Then I looked up and saw him handing me a handful of money. In mid chew, I awkwardly wiped off my hands and accepted the money while trying to say thank you with a mouthful of food. I finished my plate and headed to my grandma's room. When I was younger, we would sit and watch movies, so for old time's sake, she put in a movie, and we sat up and watched for a while, laughing, talking, and enjoying the time spent together. It was all interrupted when I received a call from my mother saying it was about time to go. So my granddad packed me up food for the road, and I went on my way. My mom came and picked me up, and we didn't waste much time. Considering she had to make a two-way trip from Huntsville to Montgomery, which was already a 3-hour journey, we hit the road. My best friend's mom rode with us to help with driving and to also see her daughter, who also goes to Alabama State University. I fell asleep at about the hour mark and woke up arriving in Montgomery at the university I love.